Hello, everyone. My grandfather always taught me to be early for appointments, so here I am, a couple of minutes early. Few of you are as well. Greetings. Hope you're all well. Today's episode is sponsored by Corona. Have your cool beer on hand. Or if you're in South Africa, you've probably got a Clippers and Coke going right now. That's the food of choice, drink of choice over there. So who we got? Willem, welcome again. Our Springbok women are playing the Black Ferns on Saturday in the quarterfinal. Yes, double header, William, this weekend between New Zealand and South Africa. Going to be super exciting, isn't it? That one. Have you been watching much of the Women's World Cup, Willem? Have you been looking at most of the South African games, I guess? Let us know if you're here. Let us know if you can hear me okay, making sure the audio is okay for everybody. VHA Accounting Solutions. Hello, welcome. I saw your name mentioned somewhere today. VHA Accounting Solutions. Must have been on a video I watched of someone. Thanks for joining. Dushan, welcome. Loud and clear. Okay, not too loud, I hope. Only the game against France, Willem, okay. It's going to be a good one against the Black Ferns. The rivalry continues. New Zealand, South Africa. Super exciting. The audio is perfect. Thank you. Hablando con Dios oficial. Plenty to talk about today. Got some notes here to talk about Clippers and Coke, loose forwards, missed chances, lineouts, Adi Savir, Victor Midfield, RG Schneemann. Whole list of things to go through. So let's see what you want to talk about. This is your show. This is your chance to ask me stuff about rugby. So we'll give it a minute for everybody to come on board and then we will get underway. As I said in my promotion of this chat today, we're going to stick to 60 minutes so everybody can get away and do what they have to do. I know some people will probably want to go to sleep. Others are just waking up, have to go to work. So I'm trying to be very mindful of your time wherever you are in the world. And you know that every week we'll do it for 60 minutes then so we can slot it in. And thanks for last week. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. We had a lot of good questions come through, and I'm sure we have the same today. And a lot has transpired since last week's live show. So we've got lots to talk about. VHA Accounting Solutions Incorporated. I'm assuming you're in South Africa. Is that right? My take on the box and the coaches, no dirt living. Okay, good. We can hear about that. What's your thoughts on the box? I'd like to hear from everybody, not just South Africans, on what they thought of the Springboks last weekend and what you think of the team going forward for this weekend. Yes, in South Africa. Okay, good. Welcome. It's good to have you here. Okay, we'll get underway, because we'll keep to the time and everybody can join as they come in. So welcome to the show, everyone. Thanks for coming along. We've had a great weekend of rugby, haven't we? Not only with the South African and New Zealand game, but also the Argentinian and Australian Wallabies game. I thought that was excellent as well. I know that there's a lot of discussion around referees on both sides. I understand it. I can hear the frustrations. And probably to kick off the show today, I just want to say and reiterate my position on all this. It's not that I don't care about the referee's performance. Of course I care. I'm a rugby fan that's been around as long as many of you. And what I decided 3 years ago when I started this channel, after the first few videos I made back in August of 2022, I could see very quickly that this whole discussion and annoyance around referees was going to be something that could be potentially damaging to a YouTube rugby channel in terms of abusive comments and all the rest of it. So I merely made the decision back then that I didn't want to get into that. I didn't want to waste my energy on it. Of course, I have opinions. Of course, referees make mistakes. but I didn't want to be one of those channels that just turn into an absolute feast of abuse around referees. And for the most part, we've been able to do that on this channel, so I applaud you for that. So that's why I don't get engaged too much at all with the referees. And it's not meaning that I'm turning a blind eye to it. I encourage anybody that wants to change the state of refereeing and the quality of refereeing to get in touch with World Rugby. Send them your complaints, send them your solutions. Don't just whinge about it on YouTube and in social media. Actually come up with ideas on how to make it better. That's what I always said in life is the best path to getting something you want is terms of an outcome. I know they're doing a lot behind the scenes. And in fact, later on today, I'm going to post the guidelines on refereeing and their post-match process that they go through so you can understand, because I think a lot of people don't even understand that. So I'm going to post that on the community page after this live chat today about the process that goes on for the Rugby Championship post-match for all referees and how they're held accountable. So that's all I wanted to say on that topic today, so you understand my position. Okay. Let's talk about rugby now. Let's get into it. No dirt living. Rassi misses Jacques Nienaber. The defensive effort lacks planning, actually. Okay, so if you haven't watched my videos post the game in the weekend, I thought the Springboks were pretty close to winning that one. And there were a couple of defensive lapses, I guess, in terms of that first try. Willie LaRue missed Narawa, but at the same time, the conditions didn't help him. He was obviously making the decision, whether it be right or wrong, it turned out to be wrong, to wait for Narawa to get to his feet to tackle him. He didn't. He slid underneath him and then he took off. So, yeah, you could call that a bad call by Willie LaRue for sure. The line-out defence wasn't there for the second try. Will Jordan was able to skip through the defence, although he was partly tackled if you have a look at it again in slow motion, but he was fast enough to get out of it. And then the third try was pretty soft as well, with Quinn Tupai getting past, I think, 3 or 4 South Africans on the way to the line. So, yeah, maybe Jacques Nienaber is missed by Rassi, but as I've been saying, not getting carried away by the performance of the South Africans in the weekend, because they were close and just a couple of things to tighten up on, I reckon. So no dirt living. Thank you for that one. Doc Martin, good evening, Mark. Hope your week has been great. It has been great. It's been very busy with rugby. I've actually taken a little bit more time this week to look at some of the other channels and to see what people are saying. Something I don't always spend a lot of time doing, but I was interested to hear some of those people that I really respect within the global rugby world, Victor Midfield being one of them, and listening to what he had to say post the game. And I think he came up with some very good points. Very intelligent points, some good points around humility as well. So I was impressed by that. Michael Harrison, welcome to the chat. Michael, I'm looking forward to the next match. The All Blacks took their opportunities well and we did not. The result is now history, so we move on. Good way of looking at it, Michael. And yeah, look, I think we've all got to land on the side of saying, look, it was a good game given the conditions, because it was difficult for both teams. Both teams made errors. The referee made errors on both sides. And we ended up with the result we ended up with. And South Africa did enough in that last 20 minutes or so, I think, to have a lot of belief in going into this next game that they can roll the All Blacks. And I think the All Blacks need to be careful in making sure they don't go into this next game thinking, oh, yeah, we beat the Box and we should be able to do it again. No, I think they need to be really on their pump again. So good point, Michael. Thank you for making it. Gary Bruce, hi, Mark, loud and clear. Good. Doc Martin, Malcolm Marks couldn't complete his tackle on Will Jordan. Correct, he couldn't. And Will Jordan, maybe if it was another slower player, maybe he might have got the tackle completed, but he didn't. And as you say, it's history now. Tristan Crystal, evening, Mark and all. Good evening. I think you're the one from Belgium, Tristan, if I remember rightly. So I hope everything's good in Belgium. Jasper, welcome back again. Nice to have you here. Tanner 2, the All Blacks thrive in that cold air, windy and wet ground and the rain environment. Yeah, Tanner, that's a good point. I think the All Blacks played the conditions slightly better, although the way the Springboks came back in the second half, it was interesting, wasn't it? Because I don't think they ran out of gas. They ran out of just the execution of getting off the line, over the line, I guess. But It was very, very good indeed. VHA Accounting, thank you very much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. And if you weren't here last week and you're just joining me, my whole efforts on YouTube as far as making money and getting revenue are going into my 2027 Rugby World Cup fund. I'm using 100% of any money I make on this channel to help me get to Australia for the Rugby World Cup in 27, where I want to bring you as much great content as I possibly can. So anything that I receive from my work on YouTube is going into that fund. So I just want to let you know. So VHA Accountants in South Africa, thank you very much for that contribution. It will go directly into my Rugby World Cup fund and get me down there to Australia. And a couple of people from the chat last week actually said, okay, we're going to meet up for a beer down there in Australia at the World Cup. So I can't wait for that. That'll be super cool as well, meeting some of you down there. Okay, back on. Jasper, the BOK team is fast, strength and experience. Don't take them for granted. No, I'm not taking them for granted. And if you watch my videos, you'll know that I really enjoy watching the Springboks play. And I'm really excited about this weekend's team. And some people have reached out on the video today and said, yeah, but you haven't talked about their weaknesses and their kicking ability or lack of kicking ability and defensive work and all the rest of it. Yeah, I understand. Every team's got weaknesses, right? But I'm a half glass full kind of guy, and I like to look at the positives in people. So I think the Springboks team, as far as the excitement, and that's in the backline this weekend, you've got those players that all play for the Stormers coming together with Manie Lebok and Damien Willemser, of course, and that's going to be super exciting. So I'm just excited as a rugby fan to see what the change of the team can do, and I hope and I'm praying that Razor does the same thing and we see some new players. Cactus, I like your glasses, similar to Jeff Wilson and Sir Kerwin. Are they? I don't know. Thanks. Anyway, this was my wife's choice. She liked these ones, so I got them. And the good news is I can see what you're writing, so they're working. G'day, Bryce. Nice to have you here. Hi, Mark. Really enjoy your content. Do you think it's time that Ruben Love gets a run at 10? Bryce, I certainly do. And this is what I like about Russie compared to Razor, right? Like, you've got this game coming up this weekend. One could argue that it's more important than last week's game, because if Russie loses 2 in a row against the All Blacks, all hell's going to break loose in South Africa. But he's taking a chance, isn't he? He's giving this other team, I won't call it a B team or a whatever, he's just giving another team an opportunity to shine against the All Blacks in New Zealand, and that builds experience. Like Sasha Feinberg and Gomezulu, who's never been to New Zealand before. This is his first trip. So he's getting a taste of it in the All Blacks backyard. And I think that kind of experience cannot be paid for, right? So I love that. And I think by giving Ruben Love and Leo Carter and these other guys a chance to play against the Springboks in New Zealand, I think that's priceless opportunity. I think Razor should be doing it. And I know a lot of you agree, a lot of you disagree, but that's where I sit on that one. So yeah, I would love to see Ruben Love, Bryce, get a chance this weekend, but chances are he's not going to. Willem says, Wilco Low came on and strengthened the scrum. He sure did, and someone pointed out a very good a technical analysis of that. Tamaiti Williams is a lot taller than Wilco Low, and technically he had some trouble with that. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Jason Ryan has gone away with Tamaiti Williams and worked out how they can combat that, because Wilco Low is going to come off the bench again this weekend, and he's going to do exactly the same thing. So we'll have to see whether that height advantage for Wilco to get underneath Tamaiti Williams really makes a difference. So I can't remember who pointed that out on the channel, but I thought it was a very good analysis on how that actually impacted the scrums late in the game. Tristan, all is good in Belgium. Think Ethan Hooker's the biggest unknown, and I'm a Shark supporter, not seen him in too many aerial battles. Yeah, look, I'm excited for Ethan Hooker. I think he's really good player. I've watched some of his highlights so far. I haven't seen him play a whole game except for his presence last weekend. What I will say is I made a reference between him and Corey Till from Australia in terms of their speed. I understand Ethan Hooker's a much bigger guy and brings a lot more physical presence, but as far as speed goes, he's a guy that can really score tries. So I'm hoping the Boks get the ball out wide this weekend and give Ethan Hooker a really good chance. Looking forward to that. Jasper says the Boks won't kick this weekend. They're going to produce running rugby with Jasper Visa up front, leads the Soldiers to battle. excited to see Jasper Wiese back in this team. Of course, he's been out for suspension. He'll come back in. I think he's got to prove a point this weekend as well, after being away for 4 weeks or whatever he was, 4 games. And I'm imagining that this is going to be a really good performance. And it's something that I think this box were lacking in that number 8 position last weekend. And I think Jasper Wiese is going to bring that difference in that particular position. So I'm looking forward to that. He's a very good operator. And it's going to be interesting, that balance between running the ball and kicking the ball this weekend for the box. That's something. I don't think this is going to be an all-out attack from the box. I think they're going to do it on the right occasions, or try and pick the right occasions. And I think that's going to be important, particularly with Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu. He's a very creative, innovative guy, but sometimes maybe he needs to get the balance right in between when he runs the ball and decides to open it up. So we'll see how he goes. What do you think of that? Do you think I'm right in that? Dilshan says, Mark, we did not hear Rieko Ioane's name mentioned by the commentators except for where he defended the try that Ox almost scored. Do you think he did enough to be selected for the Wellington game? There have been several comments on my channel about Rieko Ioane, and in particular my comments about him. And some of the people said that I was unfair because he didn't get enough ball. The backs haven't been seeing enough ball, and I think that is a fair call on that. But at the same time, we're used to seeing wingers go looking for the ball and looking for work. And I'm not too sure Rico's doing enough of that within this All Black team. I think last weekend's performance from Rieko, obviously he scored the try-saving point on that one. But again, there wasn't enough injection into the game. Look at Will Jordan, for instance, a set play. He comes in, scores a try off that. That's the sort of thing we don't see Rieko doing in this All Black team. You know that I'm not a big fan of Sevu Reece either, but at least Sevu Reece scores some tries for the All Blacks. That's one thing he was doing for the All Blacks. So, yeah, I think Rico's going to be there because Razor's relying on him, I think, defensively. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in at 13 this weekend. Let's see. Doc Martin, barely put our Wallabies away in the second match. Barely put our Wallabies away in the second match. What do you mean by that, Doc? I'm not sure I'm understanding. Argentina, yeah. VHA accountings, Jasper is key. Yeah, I think he is. I think he's going to be one of the keys to the game, for sure. Doc Martin, Springboks lost to an average Wallabies forward packs. Big boy Angus Bell made a mess of Malcolm Marx. Angus Bell. Yeah, Angus is a favourite of mine if you haven't picked up on it. Player of the year this year for me, Angus Bell. Malcolm Marx is getting a bit of stick in the last couple of weeks from people. Not sure why. I still think he's a brilliant player. The lineouts were a mess for South Africa, but if you watch some of the analysis that's going on, you'll understand why. Doc Martin says, probably Razor's seen footage of Wallabies forwards packs. Yeah, I hope so, because that game on the 27th of September is going to be very exciting at Eden Park. Randomly factual, welcome again this week. Mark, what is this so-called Wellington curse? Why did the All Blacks underperform there? Is it just coincidence, or is there anything weird with regards to the wind or the weather? I've actually spoken to an ex-All Black about this, and whilst the conversation was kind of lighthearted, there is a sense within the team that the cake tin, as they call it, the stadium in Wellington, it's not very conducive to a great rugby atmosphere. The spectators are a way away from the players, and you put typically bad weather on top of that. It doesn't really create a fantastic atmosphere for the game of rugby, and maybe that's one of the things. If you look at the great grounds around the world of rugby, you see the situation analysis of where the fans are in relation to the players seems to have a bit of an impact. I don't know whether that is a thing or not. I'm just saying that's what I heard. But yeah, maybe a coincidence. They just don't perform well there, you know, and it's typically Wellington's coming on the back of a game after they've played in Dunedin or they've played in Auckland. So we'll have to see how they go this weekend, but maybe it's just a conspiracy theory. I'm not sure. Dilshan says, Mark, don't you think Cody Taylor's name should have been mentioned and celebrated along with Artie's after the game? We were unable to get a win for Cody's 100th game. If you watch my video on, was it the All Black game or post-All Black game? I did make mention of this, Dilshan. I said that I thought it was a little bit disappointing that Cody's 100th game didn't get celebrated in a similar way. I understand that the All Blacks played that game away from New Zealand, so that was a different dynamic. But I would have liked to see more, I guess, things in the press about the All Blacks in the lead up to that game in Auckland, talking about, you know, wanting revenge for Cody because they lost that game in Argentina when it was his 100th game. I'm not at all playing down Artie's significance to the All Black team or his milestone of getting to 100 games, but in my opinion, they're both the same. They both played 100 games for the All Blacks. And because Artie's more higher profile, obviously, he tended to be making more of the press on it. So, yeah, I felt a little bit bad personally for Cody, wishing they'd done something a little bit more around that, but it is what it is. And some people told me to put my big boy pants on, so there you go. Jasper, the only way for the All Black team to put this team away is to keep pressure and cover the field and make these Boks turn around. Yes, I think that's a really good point. I like it when the All Blacks are able to put a kick over the top of the South African defence, making sure the kick is contestable. And I'm not talking about box kicks here. I'm talking about grubber kicks and putting kicks strategically into the back behind the South African defensive line. And I think that's where the likes of Rieko Ioane could become more potent for the All Blacks if they're chasing those types of opportunities. But unfortunately, what we've seen in the past from particularly Beauden Barrett has been kicks going into an empty space where it hasn't been competitive on some occasions. I thought Barrett played very well, by the way, at Eden Park under those conditions, and particularly that 50-22 off his left foot was something extraordinary. But yeah, I just think I'd like to see the All Blacks trying to do that, turn the South African defence around, but making sure that their players have got an opportunity to get up and attack on it. I'm sure we're going to see that from the Springboks this weekend, because with Willemse and Caden Moody in 12 and 13, that's exactly what they're really good at doing. So I would expect to see kicks in behind the All Blacks defence just to test them out in that area. Dilshan asked me, Mark, do you think we will see finally Caleb Clark at 11, Jordan at 14, and Love at 15? Will Razor be bold enough to make this call? Russie continues to make bold decisions and give his men a run. Dilshan, the answer I think is no. I don't think we're going to see Ruben Love this weekend at 15. I think we might see Caleb Clark. I think we're going to see Will Jordan back at 15 again. And woe and behold, we're going to see Rieko Ioane or Sevu Reece on the other wing, in my opinion. I don't think Razor's going to give Ruben Love a chance now until we get to the autumn series this year. It's going to be a story like we saw for Billy Proctor last year. He was bench warming for most of the time, wasn't he, with the All Blacks? Doc Martin, that was the old mate, Deshaun. Sorry about that, Mark. No, that's okay, mate. I'm not too sure what you were... Oh, you were talking to him. Okay, no worries. What else have we got? Lineouts, the mark of touch. ABs were guilty of contravening this law. Yeah, I saw a video about that, and it was very interesting. And one thing I'll say about this is that, and of course, like many people who watch my channel, we've been around for a few years and watched rugby for a number of decades. And what I've seen more and more happening over the last few years is that those teams that are throwing into the lineout, they take more and more time coming into the lineout and forming the lineout. And I think as a result of this, this causes a couple of problems for the referees. I'd like to see the two teams being held accountable to come to the lineout at the same time, allowing the referee to really make a distinctive gap between the two teams. Because what the All Blacks did, and I agree, it was not right, they should have got penalised for it, is they started moving over because the Springboks were still moving into the lineout. And as a result of that, the All Blacks took advantage of that and they never got pulled up on it. So to combat that from a refereeing point of view, the referee should be hurrying these players up. And I understand they do it because they want to get communication right. They also want to have a longer break and save some energy. I understand all the strategic points behind it. But I think one of the ways we could fix it immediately is to make sure the two groups of forwards come together at the same time and we have a mark down the middle. That's my view on it. Why is the All Black coach called Razor? Cactus asks this question. Razor. I think the nickname came from him being pretty sharp as a coach. back in the Canterbury Crusaders day. I think that's where it came from, but if I'm wrong, let me know. John, hi Mark, great idea you've come up with to create a Q&A chat. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. I just thought we'd give this a go, see if everybody's into it. If I do it on a regular weekly basis, you'll know that it's happening at this time. If you're available and come along, have a chat. I'll answer as many questions. We can talk about our great game. So that's why I'm doing it, and I'm happy to do it on a weekly basis if everybody feels it's something you want to get behind. So thank you. Doc Martin, Mark, no Eben Etzebeth, Marco van Staden, Andre Pollard, Damien Diolandi, Jesse Crew, and Willie LaRue. Are they injured? Would be after Wallaby 2 matches. No, as far as I know, they're not injured. Russie's making the decision because he wants to give these guys a chance, I guess, to prove to him that they deserve more times. And I love the way that Russie does this, because if you look at a young guy like Jan-Hendrik Wessels, right, he's been given an opportunity to come off the bench and to show whether he can make an impact. And he definitely did that in the weekend with a couple of really good runs and good work in the scrum. And that's all you can ask from your coach, is to be given an opportunity to prove that you're worth it. And I love what Russie's doing. I was surprised too to see particularly Eben Etzebeth not in this team. And to think that you can captain the Springboks 1 week in the likes of Jesse Creel, and the next week you're not even in the squad. That says a lot about the coach's commitment to his players and giving them the opportunity against some of the best teams in the world. So if these players don't get the opportunity to play in New Zealand against the All Blacks, when are they ever going to get that opportunity? And that's something I really like about what Russie is doing with the Springboks team. Tristan, think the game is going to be less tight. Winner is going to take it by at least 8. Yeah, okay. I think this game could be a little bit more open if the conditions allow it. And the reason I say that is because I feel as though the pressure and the hype of that Eden Park game, I think we probably underestimated the impact it had on the players, on the referees, on the coaches, on everybody. I think they've now gone to Wellington. They've taken a big breath. They've got a sigh of relief. They're away from all that pressure, and now they can go out and express themselves. So I'm expecting of course it's going to be intense, but I'm expecting a less intensive game from a pressure point of view this weekend. Although I do think the Boks are under more pressure than the All Blacks because they've lost that first game. Jasper, on the rugby field, you never blame the referee and you create your own special moments and break to win or skip them to lose the match. Yeah, this is what I liked about Victor Matefield's comments online in the last 48 hours or so. He said, look, the referee made some poor decisions on both sides over the weekend, but the Boks made too many mistakes to deserve drawing or winning the game. So there's a South African legend. I can't talk against what he says. Randomly factual. I agree. Let the young'uns swim. Yeah, exactly. Why not? Give them a chance. Like when we talk about young, though, you've got to remember a guy like Damien Willemse, who's still young. He still won 2 World Cups, right? So you're putting a guy in with that kind of experience as a young guy playing alongside Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu. It's very exciting. Doc Martin, Razor and Russie's Erasmus's head. I don't think so. I don't think so, my friend. I think these coaches are keeping very much in control of themselves. Doc Martin, All Blacks beat the Springboks A in Auckland. Okay, so we're not talking about a B team. I don't see this as a B team at all. And in fact, if you look at a number of these players, they came on in the second half against Australia in Ellis Park. And we know what happened there, right? So this is a really good opportunity for redemption. In that particular game in Ellis Park, we saw Cobus Reinhardt come on in the second half. And who else do we see? Pretty much the reserve bench that we're seeing in the backs this game we saw coming on. So interesting. No dirt living. Although there's a good depth in the box, I do not think that the combinations have enough playing time together. Too few games, I guess. Yeah, interesting comment. And I think this is one of the things that Russie and all these other coaches who are trying to bring young players in is getting that balance right between experience and giving the young ones enough time to get these combinations together. It must be very hard for a coach. And, Razor's got the same problem, of course. He's been sticking to that regular midfield and he hasn't been bringing in the younger guys like Ruben Love to give them a chance. And I think it's just a case of so much pressure on to win these games, particularly against the world champions, that it just negates that opportunity. That's my understanding. I'm not sure how you see it. Let's have a look at some of the things I've got here. Loose forwards. What do you think of the loose forward battle coming up this weekend? It's going to be really interesting. I've heard and read a lot of South African comments about the loose forward battle is going to be won by the South Africans this weekend, with Jasper Wiese coming in, Sio Kolisi going to number 6, and Peter Steph du Toit on 7. Do you see it like that? Do you think the All Blacks are going to have an advantage in the loose forwards this weekend? Love to hear your views on that one. Dilshan, historically, Wellington has not been the best hunting ground for the All Blacks. They should be expecting a major backlash from the box. Will they be mentally ready to break the Wellington hoodoo? Let's hope so. Let's hope so, Dilshan. I think that the All Blacks are going to go in pretty motivated in this game to win against the world champions back-to-back weekends. That's going to be a motivation in itself. And I think Razor's probably going to focus on that this weekend, is telling the guys, look, here's an opportunity right in front of you to beat the Springboks twice at home. We weren't able to beat them once at all last year. So to turn that around and have 2 wins against the Boks within the 12 months, I think that will be a big win for Razor and for the team. So Wellington hoodoo aside, I think that's what's going to be their focus. Randomly factual, mandatory fun fact from me. The first evidence of domesticated dogs we have is a 40,000-year-old fossil find of a human buried along with his dog. The relationship goes back at least that far. Okay, very random fact. But you might be able to hear mine sitting on the floor snoring at the moment. So there you go. That's maybe what inspired it. Jasper says, RG off the bench is a monster and normal, a man not interested in the ball as much as distraction where he go. Yeah, well, you know how excited I was to see RG coming off the bench and being named in the team this week. And I'd like to say at the same time, Victor Matefield agrees with me. He was talking about how he would have had RG in the team last week, because he said exactly the same thing that I've been saying, is that RG has that ability to do that offload late in the game that can actually break a game open and lead to a match-winning try if he doesn't score it himself. So, yeah, I'm very happy to see RG back in the team this weekend for the Springboks. Absolutely brilliant player. Randomly factual, Jasper coming back in is a massive for us. Yes, couldn't agree more. I think it's going to be one of those pivotal selections this weekend. It's going to be interesting to see what the All Blacks do at the back 3. They've got a couple of possibilities here, and I'm not sure whether Razor's going to stick with Simon Parker at 6 for this particular game. Thought he had a really good game last weekend. He did miss 6 tackles, though, and he missed that tackle that led to the Springboks try. So that might be in something in Razor's mind this weekend when he picks the Lucies. I thought Tupou Vaa'i might go back to 6, so we've got more height in the line-out by bringing Fabian Holland in, because I think the forward battle is going to be really, really interesting and important, because if that Springbok backline gets a lot of ball to play with, it's going to put more pressure on the All Blacks. So the All Blacks have to do the work up front, in my opinion. Tristan says, I think more games between South Africa and New Zealand should be played at neutral venues. Last few years, almost all games have been won by the home team. Yeah, not a bad point, but I think in the Rugby Championship, there's some contractual things in there, particularly to sponsors and all the rest. So I'm not too sure how that would work, but we've seen that game, of course, before the Rugby World Cup that was played at Twickenham. I won't talk too much about that one, of course. And, of course, we've seen what else have we seen? Well, it's only the Rugby World Cup, right? We haven't seen too many others. Not a bad idea. I like it. There's a lot of advantage in there for a home team. But then you've got teams like Argentina who are so good on the road. They play so well away from home, Argentina. Look, they've beaten the British Irish Lions this year away from home. They beat the All Blacks last year. They went very close on the weekend against Australia. They're probably going to give Australia a hard time this weekend. Francisco, hola. Greetings from Argentina. Loved your post about the essence of the game after 2 matches and pure emotion. We earnestly blame the referee when we made a lot of mistakes that led us to the end. Francisco, thank you for acknowledging that. I do want to say, and I said at the beginning of this chat, maybe you weren't here today, that I will openly admit that referees make mistakes for both teams on any given day. It's one of the most difficult jobs in the world. I'm not defending referees. I think there's a lot that still needs to be done to improve the quality of the refereeing. But I will say that I was interested to listen to Russie talking about the protocols that are in place when he was asked about the referees' decisions in the Eden Park game. And it was very good to hear about the protocols that are in place for all of the teams to go back with their questions, their concerns, the areas that they want to talk about over the refereeing. And there's a very open channel of communication. So that's one thing at least that's in place that's good for all of the teams. But look, Argentina were very unlucky. They were ahead in the 77th minute of that game with that penalty kick by Malia. And then Australia, of course, in the final minutes or overtime of that game had 3 penalty advantages. And it was interesting listening to James O'Connor today, as I was, and he was talking about the leadership group coming together to make the decision for the Wallabies whether or not they would kick for goal or whether or not they were going to go for the try. And on the first 2 penalty advantages, there was a unanimous decision by the leadership group to go for the try. But on the third one, he actually suggested to Harry Wilson that he took the kick for goal and they got a draw. But Harry Wilson, as the captain of the team, overrode him and said, no, we're going to go for it. I didn't come here for a draw. And subsequently, they won the game. So you've got to give points for courage. I think that was a lot that came out of that game, but it was a fantastic game by Argentina. I think the Argentinian backline is playing the best backline rugby in world rugby at the moment. There you go. I've said it. That's a statement. And I just think they're outshining everybody with Australia closely second. I think New Zealand and South Africa can learn a lot from the back play of those 2 teams. Randomly factual. No disrespect to other number 8s, but the box secret sauce has always been to pick a huge unit there. Strong carry, powerful defence, can lift in the lineouts. No question about it. And don't forget, you've got guys like Cameron Honeycomb as well that's injured, that's not there at the moment, who's the future as well. So, yeah, the number 8 position is very vitally important. And, the All Blacks, that's another position that we really haven't had that huge size in for a number of years. So good point made there. Randomly factual. Thank you for that. Dushan, given Christie played well. Okay. Do you think he will start in Wellington, or will Hotham, who is fit, be given a change? Hotham from the bench, perhaps. I just like winding people up about Finlay Christie nowadays. But look, he did some things really good, but he did some other things very poorly, let's face it. No, I don't think Hotham's going to be given the chance. I don't think Razor's going to bring him in for this one. I think if we're going to see Hotham, it's more than likely going to be for the Australian games. But who knows what Razor's going to do? I don't. You probably don't. So, yeah, he could be in with a chance. But I think Razor's going to go with Christie just because he's trusting him at the moment and the team's doing the job. So that's my gut feel on it. Let me know what you think. Doc Martin, for the Springboks B team, should make it a special evening. Okay, stop it with the Springboks B team. Jasper, Pumas is going to pull a victory this weekend. I would love to see it. I love both teams. I don't know who to actually barrack for in these games because I love both of these teams. If you've been watching my videos for last year, you know I'm a big Joe Schmidt fan, and he's done everything I thought he would do with this Australian team. And I love what Felipe Contepone's doing with this Argentinian team. I love the way they express themselves. Their forwards have got better. They are playing much better up front. And if there's other Argentinians in the chat today, let me know if you agree. But I'm seeing fantastic play from the likes of Juan Martin Gonzalez. I'm seeing brilliant play from Pablo Matera this year, from Marcos Crema, from Alviado as well. They're all playing brilliant rugby, and that's a really solid team. And then that back line, I heard Justin Marshall say today, Choco Barras, best number 12 in world rugby at the moment. I can't disagree with that. I think he is absolutely brilliant. Doc Martin, I did call it last week, though the All Blacks are different species at Eden Park. Maybe that's something got to do with 40,000-year-old fossil dogs or something, Doc Martin. You may have to have a chat to our friend Randomly Factual on that one. Yeah, the All Blacks are really different to play at Eden Park. There's no doubt about it, right? It's very difficult to knock them off. But I'll tell you what, go to your calendar when you get off this chat today and put a big circle around September the 27th, Eden Park, All Blacks Wallabies. That's going to be a game. That's going to be a game. CJ, hi CJ, welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for bringing the world of rugby in one chat room. The young box players are going to do well. With Escom, the captain, lots of respect for the All Blacks. Great job, Russie, for the selection. Good on you, CJ. I'm glad that you are supporting Russie. Too many Springbok supporters, in my opinion, are giving Russie a hard time. It's starting to feel like English football managers here, yeah? This is not English football where the managers are sacked one week and brought back the next week because they have a good game. This is rugby. We stick behind our coaches. We support them. This guy's won you 2 back-to-back Rugby World Cups. He's changed the game in South Africa. He's changed the nation's pulse around rugby. Russie's a legend. Get behind him. He makes good documentaries as well. Anyway, CJ, you get my point, I hope. Emil, vamos Argentina. Yes. Welcome from Argentina. Great to have you with us. What is it, 4 o'clock in the afternoon down there? Beautiful, beautiful part of the world. In Russie, we trust. Yes, so you should. Eugene, welcome. Good to have you here. Ref was bad, but Box did not deserve to win. I can agree with both comments. Thank you for making it. Randomly Factual. I would support Russie even if he chose my sister on fly half. Whoa, that's a big call. Your sister's probably a good player, though. Talking of ladies rugby, we've got the big matchup this weekend, everybody. Are we excited? South Africa, New Zealand, twice. Yes. The Black Ferns will take on the Springboks in the quarterfinal of the Rugby Women's World Cup. And the All Blacks are taking on the mighty Springboks in Wellington at the Cape Tin. Wow. It's all New Zealand, South Africa this weekend. Doc Martin, Argentina. Yes, absolutely. Los Pumas, vamos. Let's go. Let's beat those Aussies in Sydney. Let's have a brilliant game anyway. Let's have rugby as the winner again. That's what we want. Just as long as we don't mention the cricket. Hey, you can't be good at everything, my friend. You can't be good at everything. You've got to lose at some things, yeah? Doc Martin, whatever happened to the first 15 and second 15? Why have they A, B, and C? Good point. I don't know. I never got into the first 15. I was always in the second 15. Jasper, I feel the Pumas is the best team in form in the TRC. That's a good one to debate, that one, isn't it? I think they're close, whether they're the best. I think what we're seeing here is we're seeing consistency from the Pumas. Remember everybody knocking them for that? They may not be consistently winning, but they're consistently playing well, and there's a big difference because sooner or later, like Australia, you start winning and it becomes a habit. And I think that's what's going to happen with this Argentinian team. So they're very, very close. And let's not underestimate this due to world rankings because the Wallabies and the Argentines, I think, are playing above their world rankings at the moment. I really do. I think they've got the ability to beat those top teams on any given day. As we have seen, they've beaten both South Africa and Australia and New Zealand so far in this rugby championship. And who knows what Argentina is going to do against the Springboks, particularly in that game in London. So, yeah, I think that comment deserves some credit. Jono, hi, Mark. John here from Cape Town. Love your content. Kudos to the All Blacks. Deserve win. South Africa made too many mistakes. Jono, I agree with you, mate. But it was close, and we all know that it could have gone the either way or it could have been a draw for sure, quite easily. I'm not getting too far ahead of myself. I think it's going to be another fantastic battle in the weekend in Wellington. Can't wait for it. It's going to be super exciting. Can't wait for Razor to announce his team so we can then do that combative thing about, okay, this is what this All Black team's going to do to the Springboks. No dirt living. So, Mark, when will you be visiting South Africa? Oh, I'd love to come. Or should I say I'd love to come back? There's a story there that you don't know about. But, yeah, I'd love to come to South Africa. And my wife and I have been sitting down talking about where in the world that we want to go and watch rugby. And we're just putting all our focus on the Rugby World Cup in 2027 because we don't have unlimited funds. And that's where we really want to get to, because I want to be able to produce content for you guys down there. That's my my big goal. Eugene, ref gave the Aussies that game. Relationship and reading the ref is getting more and more important. Okay, we acknowledge the refs have got problems, and we acknowledge there's a protocol in place to put forward ideas and all the rest of it. There's an email address, info@worldrugby.org, if you want to send an email there and talk about your solutions to improving reffing in games, rather than just coming on social media and bagging the referees. I think that would be a good step forward if you start putting together ideas on how World Rugby can improve it. There's something like 130 referees in a consortium at the moment that are guiding World Rugby on how to continually improve the refereeing of the game. All those referees have got over 150 hours within that year of refereeing experience in all these different countries around the world. So they're trying to bring together as much in the way of resources, quality resources, to take on this huge job of trying to improve the refereeing. Randomly factual. I think the Pumas just need to create that conveyor belt of talent that South Africa and New Zealand has. Give it 5 to 10 years and they'll be proper World Cup challengers. Randomly factual. I don't know whether you watched the games between Argentina and England B team earlier this year, but Felipe Contapone, he gave a lot of the younger players an opportunity. They were very close in that series, and I saw a lot of good talent coming through. So I wouldn't be surprised in 2027 if the Argentinian Los Pumas are really pushing towards that semi-final and beyond stage of the Rugby World Cup. I'd love to see it, that's for sure. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to have to wait too long to see this Pumas conveyor belt of talent. They've got the talent in the country. Trust me on that one. And if you're from Argentina on the chat today, can you confirm that? Can you tell us about some of these younger players we need to keep an eye out on? Emil, who would you prefer to play against the Aussies, Isgro or Dalgi? Great question. You know what? I was really on the back of Isgro there for a while, because I thought he really he's such a big guy and he's fast and he gets outside his man. But Dalgi on occasions as well, he scores good tries. So I'm a little bit on the fence, but if you're going to ask me to choose one, I'd go with Isgro, I think, because he's just that much bigger and stronger. And I've seen him play better, more consistently for the Pumas. So Isgro would get my nod on that one, Emil. CH1301 says, hi, Mark, your views on Murray Mexted views that Parker should play 8 and Satiti should probably move to the bench this weekend. Did Murray Mexted say that? Because I said that in my video this morning. So, yeah, I would like to see that. The only reason I'd like to see that is Parker brings that kind of Jasper Visa size, doesn't he, to the number 8. And I think with Visa going in there this weekend, I think that would be a good take for take on that one. And I think Satiti coming off the bench in that last 20 or 30 minutes could have a really big impact for the All Blacks. But I have no problem either way if Satiti's starting the game. But if Murray Mexted said that, and I said that this morning, I'd go with it as well. Jasper, you have to watch a match at our PE stadium. It's electric and such a vibe. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. I'd love to watch a number of rugby games across different stadiums in South Africa. I'd love to go to Kings Park. I would love to go to Ellis Park again. I've been there a couple of times. It was fantastic. And I'd also like to go to the Mombala Stadium as well. That's another one I'd like to go and visit. Doc Martin, mate, that Bledisloe Cup. Yeah, we've had it too long. It's time you guys had it for a while. But look, in all seriousness, the 27th of September, do not go away. Watch this game in Auckland, because it's the Eden Park Thriller part number 2. And if anybody's got a chance after the Springboks, it's going to be the Wallabies. This Wallabies team's playing really well. Maraki New Zealand says, Eden Park win the mental turning point for the ABs. A win in Wellington and the new reign begins. I love the confidence, mate. Good on you. And let's hope that they can get out of that hoodoo that takes place in Wellington and have a good win against the Springboks again. And it would raise his confidence a lot as well, I'm sure, if he was able to pull that off. Randomly factual, I'd go Isgro 2. The size wins it for me because sometimes you need to play an unattractive rugby and just need a guy to be able to cross the game line. Yeah, agree. And he does that very, very well. But then you've got Carreras on the other wing. He's a small guy, and he's a speedster, and he scores great tries as well. So there you go. That blows that theory out the window, doesn't it? Gosh, we're almost up to an hour. That's gone fast. Okay, Cactus. Scott Robertson explained that he came up with a nickname himself after a tackle on Brumby's back, Pat Howard. Oh, okay, so it's his own nickname. It's about time we gave him a new one if he's giving himself nicknames, isn't it? Thanks for that, Cactus. I've learned something again today from you all. Brilliant. Not the first thing either I learned today. Doc Martin, 22 years later. Well, better late than never, right? So come on. The All Blacks are going to lose that Eden Park record one day. One day. Ignacio, hola from Argentina, Mark. Hola, my friends in Argentina. Lovely to have you here. Good luck in Sydney on the weekend. I will be waving my blue and white jersey for you. And on the other hand, the Wallabies jersey, because I want both of these teams to win. And I want another great game. So, Ignacio, yeah, let's go. Vamos, los Pumas. Jono, your thoughts on Russie? Oh, I love Russie. I think he's great. And I'll tell you why I think he's great, because he's got balls, excuse my French. He's got balls to try out young players and throw them in and put them in these pressure cooker opportunities. And one of the things that I think about that is because when you look forward to the Rugby World Cup, South Africa is going to have a young team, but they're going to have a young team that's got a lot of experience. A lot of these young guys are going to have 20, 30 test matches behind them by the time they get to the Rugby World Cup. And that's really smart thinking. Look at the All Blacks. Look at the age of some of these players, right? And because we're not seeing the Ruben Loves come through and the Leroy Carters come through at the moment, then the All Blacks are putting themselves, I think, behind the 8 ball when it comes to that age thing. So I think Russie is really, really good when he's doing what he's doing this weekend. I also like the way that he experiments with 6-2, 5-3, all the rest of it. I think that's good. It tells you a lot about your team's capabilities at the back end of the game. And, of course, that period of the game is becoming more and more important. 14-10, the Springboks won the second half last weekend. So he'll be looking for those backs this week to finish it off in the second half. So, yeah, I really admire and respect pretty much everything Russie does. And I hope all of the South African supporters maintain their focus and support for the man, even if they lose. Randomly factual. I'm going to leave you all with a fun fact. Only 24 people have orbited the moon, 12 of whom actually landed, all from the Apollo program. Good night, everyone. This was fun. Okay. Randomly factual. Please come back anytime and give us fantastic things like that. Ignacio, call me Nacho. Okay, I'll call you Nacho from Tucumán. Fantastic. Welcome. It's great to have you here. Tell all your friends about our rugby chat every Tuesday and get them to come and join us, Nacho, because I'd love to have more opinions from South America rugby. We've got Uruguay that's just qualified for the Rugby World Cup, also in Australia in 2027. We need to keep building up rugby in South America and in this part of the world. It's fantastic. Thanks for the live chat, Mark. Go Box. Thank you, Jono. Chloe Jordan. Hi, I'm from South Africa and the Box fan. And I don't forget that all the young guys are also very good under the high ball. Yes, Kanan Moody's a big lad, isn't he? Let's see if he gets under the high ball this weekend. We also got Fassi back at fullback. We know he can be good under the high ball. So, yeah, I agree with you, Chloe. Lots of talent in the young guys. Doc Martin, he's been outstanding for Benetton. Thomas Albanos, he's on great form this year. I love Albanos. If you've been watching my videos on Argentine rugby over the last 18 months, I've been a huge supporter of Albanos. I think he's one of the best 10s in world rugby at the moment. Hope he's going to be back to play against the Springboks in the 2 games. This chat is amazing. Well, it's only amazing because of you guys. I would be here talking to myself otherwise, right? So thank you, Nacho, for that. Jono, how's rugby in Mexico? Are you coaching? No, they don't want me as a coach. They're the last person they want. How's rugby in Mexico? I said it last week, if those that were remembering that were here. Mexico is ranked 38 in the world at the moment. They need better competition. They need better coaching. So if you know someone in your country who wants to have a little bit of an expat job and coaching rugby across the world, come over to Mexico, get a team. There's lots of available coaching roles here. You can have a great lifestyle in Mexico, play the great game, make the great game grow in this fantastic part of the world. And I think Mexico's in that kind of tier of rugby at the moment where they just need better competition. So I'd like to see them playing the likes of Uruguay and maybe Argentina as well, just to show them what that level of rugby is about, because they don't get exposed to it. And if you're not playing the best, what do they say? Sharpen steel on steel, right? So that's what I wish for Mexico rugby. No Dirt Living. Thanks, Mark, for the live chat. Great stuff. See you soon. Enjoy the game this weekend. Thank you for joining us, No Dirt Living. Fantastic for you to be here. I will enjoy the game this weekend. Nacho, in your opinion, Mark, is Albinos the best fly half today? He's up there, absolutely up there. Thought Beauden Barrett played very well at Eden Park, though, considering the conditions. I've never seen him do a left foot 50-22 like that under that pressure. That was brilliant. And if you watch that play back again, you'll see that Canan Moody kicked the ball through from that group of players that were fighting over it. And I thought it was a good idea from Canan Moody. A lot of South Africans said, no, he kicked possession away, but he was trying to put it in behind the All Black defensive line so the South Africans could break down and put a lot of pressure. If that kick had got past Beauden Barrett, they would have been down within 10 metres of the All Black line. But Beauden Barrett was just magical in that particular movement. He swept the ball up, he turned on his left foot, and he produced a 50-22. It was an outstanding play. But to get back to your question, I love Albinos. He's a great kicker in general play. He's good off the tee. He sets up his backline well. His combination with Choco Barros is outstanding. He's also very good at reading the defensive line. He puts his body on the line. We saw it, and that's why he got injured, of course, and he's not with us, unfortunately, at the moment. So I'm a huge fan of Thomas Albinos, and I've also said that I think come Rugby World Cup 2027, he's going to be one of the stars of the show. So bookmark that one. Jasper, the games this weekend is going to be awesome again. Have to say this Rugby Championship is the best so far on a knife's edge. Absolutely agree, Jasper. It is brilliant. Fantastic stuff. Jono, thanks and good night. Good night, Jono in South Africa, I'm assuming. Michael Harrison, thank you, Mark. The live has been fascinating and very enjoyable. Your enthusiasm and absolute love rugby is top-notch. Sorry if I'm a little bit over the top, but I love the game. That's all I can say. Thank you, Michael. Doc Martin praised Argentina boys for supporting Italians rugby. There's a shortage in Italy's rugby players. Argentina to the rescue, save Italy's rugby. Great point, Doc Martin. And it works both ways, doesn't it? So the Argentine rugby players go over to Europe and they play within those leagues and they get the experience of playing different types of rugby against different types of players and different coaches' experience as well. And, I heard the All Blacks talking about this with some of those players that have gone to Japan and also over to Europe. Absolutely brilliant. So I think that's a good thing. Okay, some more questions. Anybody got some more? Boom, boom. Appreciate people want to go to sleep and people want to go to work, and there's lots of Clippers and Coke to drink. Jasper, the best team this year is Australia. What a recovery from what they were. Yeah, look, let's go back 12 months ago, right? We had 67 points to 24 Argentina against Australia in Argentina. They were absolutely thumped. Like that's a score you expect against one of the minnows in the World Cup, right? And here they are 12 months later. They've beaten the Springboks at Ellis Park, first time for 60-odd years. They come back again and beat Argentina in a thriller in Townsville last weekend. They go close in the second game in Cape Town. They could have won that one as well if somebody had his kicking boots on. And now they're lining up for a possible win again this weekend in Sydney and then going to take the All Blacks on at Eden Park. Well done, Joe Schmidt. Loving what he's doing. Any more questions before we wind up? Fun fact, Zimbabwe has qualified for the World Cup 2027. Fantastic. Great to hear Zimbabwe getting through to the Rugby World Cup. So along with Uruguay, we'll have another team from Africa, which is brilliant. Not that, okay, Uruguay, South America, you know what I'm talking about. Zimbabwe and Africa. Brilliant stuff. Any last thoughts from anybody? I'll give you my last thoughts if you like. I think the Black Ferns are going to be too good for from the South African ladies this weekend. But I think if the men are going to have a chance, it's going to be this weekend in Wellington. I think if we do see the potential of this South African backline from the attacking point of view, and they're able to do enough on defence, I think they can win this one. But it's going to be a great game. Nacho, had the Pumas won last weekend, we could have put ourselves in line to be champions, but having lost, we are now compromised. Nacho, don't give up, my friend. It's not over. Wait, be patient. There's still lots of twists to the tail to come in this rugby championship. Trust me. Trust me. Jasper, I always felt South Africa should help train their neighbours to up their performance. Yeah, why not? Why not? Namibia, Zimbabwe, Kenya. Kenya's coming on, right? Kenya's playing good rugby now. Good point, Jasper. Enjoyed that. Thank you for your contribution again today. Gogu. Mark, I'm 75 years old. I only fell in love with rugby in the past few years thanks to people like you. I really appreciate your effort, knowledge, and thanks to everybody here. Wow, fantastic. And that's exactly why I do what I do. So I really appreciate it. I started this channel to share my passion for the game, hoping that I could play a very small role in helping the game grow across the world by fans like you coming along. So Gogu, thank you for making my day with that comment. It's really special. Emil, what do you think that World Rugby need to do to expand the rugby in the world from your perspective? Look, I think it's a good question, so thank you for asking it. I think World Rugby are doing a lot of things. I don't think they communicate themselves very well, so people, the general fans of rugby, understand exactly what they're doing. They are putting a lot of money into the developing nations. They are doing their best. Like any company, they've got limited resources. They've got limited revenue. They've got limited amount of exposure through certain channels. But what do they need to do more? They need to keep growing the game in those nations that are really starting to develop. So I'd like to see the game continue to grow new unions in different countries, because to have a really, truly global game, we probably need another 40 or 50 countries in the sphere. So it gets like the FIFA World Cup, and we've got so many teams that have an opportunity to get through. But I think they do a lot of things good. They just don't get the reward for it. They don't get the acknowledgement. And some of that comes down to their own poor communication. So that's what I think, Emil, about World Rugby and what they need to do. And they need to make sure the financial structures. So I've got a story to tell maybe another time, but there's a lot of clubs that are run by volunteers who don't understand how to run a business, and that's what's bringing rugby down a lot at the grassroots level, and you have to protect grassroots rugby. Chloe asked me, do you think the All Blacks be losing this week against South Africa, and if Argentina are going to win? Look, the All Blacks have got a chance of losing against South Africa as they have got a chance of winning. And Argentina have got a great chance of beating the Wallabies again. I think we're going into this weekend just like we did last weekend. We don't know who's going to win. And both teams from both sides could end up winning, and it changes the whole perspective again, doesn't it? So I think that's what's amazing about this championship. Nacho, your passion for the game is amazing, and I thank you for this. I'm very happy every time you upload your videos, and the best is that I agree with your opinions a lot. Thanks, mate. Nacho, that's very nice. I don't expect people to agree with my opinions. I get a lot of stuff wrong. I'm a rugby fan like you. I'm not an expert. And, well, you're probably more of an expert than I am. So all I do is I share my perspective. I love it when people come along and say, I disagree with you. This is wrong about what you said, because that's what makes us rugby fans. We all see things in a different way, and we all love the game at the end of the day. So, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Mumbo Jumbo Kiwi, nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us. It would be awesome if each of the summer here big guns sent a second 15 to Zimbabwe, Namibia, Kenya, Chile for annual fixtures. Can you imagine send a second string AB side playing in Zimbabwe? I love that idea. That's a brilliant idea. Why don't you send that in an email to World Rugby? Because if you don't, I will, because I think that's a brilliant idea. And that's a great way of bringing the second string teams along, isn't it? And giving them experience at an international level. So why don't we set up like a little mini tour series where teams from like Australia and New Zealand and Argentina are going to Africa and Europe and playing second string teams. That would be fantastic. Really, really good idea. I love that one. That's almost the comment of the day. Doc Martin, fair call, mate. Not sure what you're fair calling me on, mate, but okay. Jasper, I must say, I love your insights to rugby and teams. Thank you, Jasper. I just share myself. I know I get it wrong a lot of the time, but I can only tell you what I think. You're a good man, Nacho. He is a good man, isn't he? I think we should all be heading to Argentina to support Los Pumas next year. That'll be a good trip. Juan Pierre, howdy from Ireland. Welcome. How's the beautiful cold weather in Ireland this evening? I'm sure it's spicy over there. Conor McGregor's going to be the next president of Ireland, is he? That'll stir up the case, saying that. The contrarian. Hi, Mark. Just joined. Is this a general rugby talk or about this week's game? It's whatever you want it to be, the contrarian. I do this for you guys and girls. I'm here to talk about rugby. So if you want to talk about this week's game or general rugby talk, you go ahead. I'll participate as much as I can. Doc Martin, old mate, still in Norway, Mumbo Jumbo Kiwi. There we go. How's Ireland rugby looking this year, my friend? Is it? Are we going to see some good games at the end of the year? Can't wait to see Ireland playing again. I love talking about the Irish rugby team, everything that's happening there. Jasper, yes, you are heading into summer, and yes, the Curry Cup is a local derby is in full swing. I have been secretly watching some of those games, Jasper. I don't talk about the Curry Cup on my channel, but maybe I will next year. Nice day, Galway, and for the Irish spirit's sake, yes, might be the trip saved for the Irish McGregor. Holy moly, I never thought I'd see the day when somebody said Conor McGregor would be the saviour of Ireland. Maybe he will be. Good on him. At least he's doing something about it, right? And he's actually putting himself out there wanting to be a change agent. And I think that's what we need in the world of rugby. For some of these people that talk about referees all the time, instead of just talking about it, go out there and do something to change it. And there's a lot of things you can do. I'm quite passionate about the referee thing, even though I don't talk about it. Okay, what else we got? We're running out of ideas here, folks. We have gone over time, so I'm very respectful of your time. When you've had enough, I've had enough. 100% standing up for the people, his people, the Irish. Good on him. Good on him. Nacho, I will send you via email a very interesting article on the current state of amateur rugby and the passion and way off relationship between young players, families, clubs. I would love that. If you want to send me an email about that, I will not only read it, I will reply to you as well on my thoughts. So, Nacho, thank you for that. Jasper, what is the Pumas' weakness as a team and can they improve? Please, Mark. Yeah, of course, every team can improve. That's a no-brainer, that one, I think. But in terms of their current weakness, well, if you take it at face value, you could say closing out games. But then they did it against the All Blacks very well, and then they just lost it in the last 5 minutes against Australia. So that could be a perceived weakness. But look, I think they're now getting to a stage where, and I've seen some ex-All Blacks and ex-South African Springboks say this in the last few days, this Pumas team are getting very, very close to being a dominant winning team. They're very close, very close. It's just a matter of points. So I think they're pretty much like the Springboks and the All Blacks in some respects in terms of they need to keep refining the things that they do very well. And what I see in this Pumas team is they've got a very good bunch of forwards now. They need to bring a couple more in so that bench is a bit stronger, I feel. But if you've got a Pumas team that can bring Marcos Kremer off the bench late in the game, that's a very good team. And they've got Juan Martin Gonzalez and Oviedo as well, who have got the ability to come off the bench. And I've seen Contaponi trialing that around a little bit. So that's very good. Maybe some more backs. I think number 13, Sinti, they need to have a backup there. I think someone that's going to be strong. And they need to keep working on their number 10s because as we've seen, if Albanos goes down, they can be in a bit of trouble. But Carreras has played well. You've got to give him credit for what he's doing. So I think it's a case of just keep working on those things that are creating good things for you at the moment. I think Contaponi's doing that. So I think they're in good hands, the Pumas. Doc Martin, keep applying the pressure. Take control of their game. Don't let my Wallabies in the game. You'll be all right, mate. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. It's an 85-minute game. Don't forget rugby these days, folks. You've got to go 85 minutes. Okay, final thoughts, everybody. Want to give me your final thoughts? Let's put it out there. Who's going to win this weekend? The Springboks or the All Blacks? Argentina or the Wallabies? Give me your predictions. What can Rico Ioane add to Leinster for the upcoming season? Rico can add, he can probably be a very good water boy for the Leinster team this coming season. No, I'm joking, of course. No, Rico, let's hope he can do something really good, yeah? Like turn his game around. And look at what Geordie Barrett did when he went to Leinster, right? He was able to play a different way because Sam Prendergast at number 10 gave Geordie Barrett the opportunity to play back to his normal rugby, and it worked out really, really well. So let's hope that works for Rico as well. I've got nothing against the guy personally. Love the game, just a game, folks. That's right. It is. My favourite team is Springboks, All Blacks, Argentina and Australia. Yep. Springboks by more by 10. Whoa, okay. Boks and Pumas will both win. Okay. See, that's what I'm saying. If we could have complete reversal of what we had last weekend. All Blacks by 10, Pumas by 3. Late penalty in the dying moment for the Pumas. And Doc Martin, I reckon it's going to be kicked by Santiago Carreras. There you go. That's who's going to kick the winning points. Boks and Argentina to win, keep the championship alive. Yeah, let's hope so, Eugene. Let's hope so. Albanaz Messi. Yes, why not? Yeah. He's got a few more things he has to do before he gets to that level, my friend, but he's on the right track. Okay, I'm going to wind it up, folks. We've been going an hour and 10 minutes. I love you all. Thank you very much for joining me today. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you have as well. We can make this a weekly occurrence if you want it on the channel here. Back again next Tuesday. We can talk about the games this weekend, the women's rugby as well, if you want to talk about it. So enjoy your week ahead. Thank you for supporting my videos, for my live chat, all the rest that you do to make this channel really worthwhile doing it. It all comes from here. Thank you very much. And good night, good morning, and good day to you all. See you soon. Bye-bye.